happy to be with my dear friend and amazing media coach, Susan Harrow. Hello, Susan.
Hi, everyone. We are hoping that you can hear us because we're having some trouble with the sound. Can you let us know?
Oh, Jade, I do see Jade saying the video won't play. Jade, you know what? I'm going to go pop over to Facebook. Susan,
Yes.
How about if you why don't you introduce yourself and maybe tell people a little bit about who you are and your work, and I'll pop over to Facebook and see what's going on.
Okay, that sounds great.
Sound good?
Yeah. So thank you for all of your patience because we've been having we've been trying to work out all of the technical things. So I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome, Jade, and welcome anyone else who I can't see because this is something brand new for me. And so I don't quite understand everything, how it works. It's working now, Jade says. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yay.
Okay, so we're going to just jump right in then.
I'm back.
Okay, great.
Hi, Jade.
Great. Thank you, Jade. Great. Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for letting us know. Appreciate it.
Hi, Rachel.
Appreciate it. Great.
This is awesome. Okay. You probably didn't even have a chance to tell people anything in that little bit of time, did you?
No, I did not. So just quickly, I'm Susan Harrow, media coach, marketing strategist, author of Sell Yourself Without Selling Your Soul, and CEO of PRSecrets.com. So today we are going to talk about how do you publicize yourself during COVID without being self-serving, salesy, with your own integrity and spirit. And we're going to be talking a little bit about mindset, and then we're going to go through everything else that we promised. And Sherry and I, a lot of you know who Sherry Belul is. She's a dear friend of mine, and she is has a wonderful book called Say It Now, which is perfect for this time and for people really starting to feel what's really important to them. And I think that people want to express that. And I know you also have How to Write a Love List, which couldn't be more timely, quite frankly.
Yeah. So, Susan, I just wanted to say that I'm so grateful to you because the way that this came about was, remember, I called you and said, gosh, I feel like I have a really great message right now, but I don't want to seem opportunistic. I don't want to feel like I'm trying to sell my book in the midst of all of these really difficult things going on, deaths and loss of jobs, and people are sick. And so I said to you, do you have any suggestions on how to navigate this? Because I do want to serve. I feel like I could help people right now. And so we decided we'd have a general conversation because surely there must be a lot of people like me out there.
I think there really are. And there's some people who are doing it really well, right? Navigating that really well. And then there's some people who are not navigating it so well. And I think part of it is your own mindset. Like if you are feeling like icky about it or that it's not feeling right, that's the first thing. I mean, to check into yourself. But then you also want to check in, am I just nervous that I'm not going to be accepted or beloved or whatever? So there's the hesitation for that reason. But if you're hesitating because it really doesn't feel right in your gut, that's another thing. But really, I think that now is such a wonderful opportunity for anyone to start spreading good news, whether it's about COVID or not, because that's all the media that's all they're looking for right now is this information. When I talk to PR firms, they're like, people are craving all of this information. The other thing is, and I'm going to be peeking at my notes over here, part of that is also the press is hungry for stories and positive messages because they have to fill out a news cycle. And then the other thing that they really need to fill out is there's so much more digital content that's online. So while we have hard copy magazines, we still have podcasts, we have TV. We also have digital content that is changing many times a day, not just once a day necessarily, because the news organizations are also testing clickbait. They're testing headlines. They're trying to see what are people wanting now. And when they find that, and now they can do that in seconds and minutes and not months, collecting the data, and they can start to change that data right away. So if you're on a trend or if there's a certain thing that's really becoming viralized, that is an opportunity and when I say opportunity, I mean that in a way that is a chance for you to gracefully bring up whatever your offer is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. But you know what comes up for me around that? And I want to encourage anybody who might be listening live, if you have questions, to please post to them. But what came up for me around that, Susan, is you mentioned a few different mediums. You mentioned a lot of digital content. You said
Yes.
that magazines are still out there publishing, that there's podcasts. Where would you suggest that someone start, or do we try to do all of it right now?
Yeah, I think to start where you're most comfortable. If you're a writer, start with writing. If you're a speaker, somebody who likes to speak more, is more comfortable, start with broadcast. So that can be podcasting, that's radio, that's TV, and Facebook Live even. I mean, we'll talk a little bit later about how things that go on to social media get picked up by the traditional media too. So I'll talk about that in a little bit too. But I think you start where you're most comfortable. And I just heard something I was listening to Ocean Vuong, who wrote the book called On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. He's a poet, he's a teacher and novelist. Yeah, really beautiful writer.
Name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you say it again? Say
his
the name of the book.
Ocean Vuong, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is his novel.
It's beautiful.
And he said something that I really loved. He was talking about going to his first open mic, and he said people were standing at the microphone, people who were older, people who were shy, but when they stood behind the microphone, they gained a second life. They stood up. They were so proud of what was coming out of them because they were wielding language on their own terms. And I realized that this is what my grandmother was doing at the kitchen, where she told stories, that the air is like a second page that you get to rewrite and take over, where you have so little power. In our daily life, we're at the mercy of schedules, we're at the mercy of gravity, the limits of the body. But when it comes to language, we are truly free.
That's so beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
And I thought that's where we have language. The media is all about language, image, perception, shaping the perception. This is where we're truly free, where we have a chance to really excel now and share whatever that is that your special message for people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's say it's me or Rachel or Jade or anyone else who's listening to this. We have a message that we love and that we feel like can really serve people. And let's say I'm just gonna choose magazines right now, because that tends to be one of my interests, is say like women's magazines. Right. And it might be the online content, or it might be the printed version. But can you give me some guidance? Like, where would I even start?
Yeah. So one of the things that I promised is the 50+ magazine editorial calendars. That is a great place to start, because you can see what the magazines are planning for the year. And we just updated it for 2020, and we'll put in the link at the end so you can get those for free. Yeah, so you can download all of that. So now, that being said, so some people have hard copy calendars and digital calendars, and some are just one or the other. So when you start to look at the digital calendars, which are faster, right? Because now that digital calendar is going to be changed, whereas the hard copy calendar, they're going to make adjustments to it given everything that's going on in the culture today. Some of that is already set, right? Because in hard copy, they're 3 to 6 months out. Digital, it can happen tomorrow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So take a look at that, but also, so digital first, because digital is so fast.
Digital first.
Yeah. Digital first. So digital content. So one of the resources that I know you know about, Sherry, but not maybe everybody does, is Harrow, Help a Reporter Out, HARO, helpareporterout.com. You will get free queries 3 times a day in all the different topics from reporters and producers who need experts for their stories now. So that's where you can see what's going on and immediately respond. So you don't even have to do any research. You don't have to create a media list, nothing. You can just dive right into that, sign up for that today. It's free, and start responding to those queries. And I'm going to talk in a little bit about how to best do that so you can get chosen. But that is the fastest way right now. And there's dozens and dozens of queries every single day. that they're looking for content.
Yeah. So I see that Jade is saying, I've been in business hibernation while doing research. I haven't finished my book. I used to do radio. I love speaking.
Okay. Great.
I keep helping people online understand all the public health stats. Oh my gosh, that's so great, Jade.
Oh, yes, that would be extremely useful. That's extremely, Jade, you could even go on TV with that kind of content. Yeah. Because as you see if you're looking at MSNBC and CNN, there's different experts, some of the same ones. There's regular people that are on every night, but all of these kinds of things need to be explained. So if you have new statistics or you have a new perspective on that, we want to hear it, because this is evolving and people, we don't know what's going to happen next, and we are all eager for that information, right? I mean, everyone's kind of on the 24/7 news cycle now, watching it, listening to it, getting it on your phone, however you consume it. So yes, extremely timely and useful. Yeah.
Susan, how would Jade, let's just say Jade wants to start with local TV, so let's say Jade, she's just saying, they keep misinterpreting the basics. What if she wants to reach out to the local news? Would it be the news? Would it be a talk show?
Yeah, I would go to your local talk shows to start. Well, I mean, you can't go in person anymore. You're going to be doing it out of your house, right? We say local, but it doesn't really matter because you can't go in person right now, right? So we can say you can go national, but start local, Jade. And what I would say is when they're misinterpreting the data is you have to say respectfully what's wrong and back it up with facts and not just opinions. So you can say, not like you people have been reporting it wrong, because obviously you're not going to make any friends that way. So there's a graceful way of saying what you might not know is that blah blah blah, this is the fact that was not correct, and here's why, and here's the correct fact, and I'd love to come on and talk about it more about. And then I might say there were a couple of other things that could be interpreted differently as well that I'm happy to clarify for you, happy to have a phone call or touch via email, whatever is your preference. So I would definitely do that.
And is Jade reaching out? Is she sending an email? Is she sending a tweet?
Sending an email. She's sending an email. Reporters typically want to get press releases via email, but they are scouring social media. So they prefer not to be pitched via social media. But if that's the only way that you can get to somebody right now and you keep it super short and make it an invitation, that's fine. But they prefer to be pitched via email.
Got it. And I'm presuming that your wonderful free gift is going to help us to find those emails. Is that right?
My free gift, the 50 on my prsecrets.com page, there's 50 free top media contacts. That might be more useful. The magazine ones is more the editorial calendar, which shows you how to place that. So there's contact information for those magazines, but it's not broadcast. That the editorial calendar magazines only. Yeah.
Aha. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Hi, Betsy. Oh, I know Betsy. She's still trying to get a TV gig going. They have done the opposite on climate, oceans. Yeah. Well, that's a really interesting angle, Betsy. It would be curious if it's topical now. So people are so focused on people versus the climate. And I know your area is the climate and you're brilliant at it. So if you can connect the climate to how it's affecting the virus and people, like they are saying that when the warm weather comes, the virus is going to recede a little bit. I don't know if that's accurate or not, or if that's an advantage of global warming at the moment, right? Or in certain parts of the world, but you could certainly comment on that. And hi, Peter. Peter is grief gratitude. They're chasing, yes, Corona. So you're making your resources known. So if you're a grief expert, certainly you can talk about how we're losing people and how to respond to that. I mean, one of the questions, my father has Alzheimer's. He's starting to slow down. He's taking longer naps. And Will said, what happens with your dad? Like, how are we going to how are we going to celebrate him? Are we going to have a funeral, a memorial? You know what I mean? So those are the kinds of questions that are coming up too. I'm like, no, we can't do that. We're going to have to delay it. But I'm still going to have to go comfort my mom in her grief, right? So those are
Wow.
things that are definitely, people are still dying natural deaths too,
Right.
so that's not stopping as well. So I think maybe you can connect people dying of the virus and also people in the midst of this dying in their natural process or unnatural processes, right? Sherry, I know we have a lot of other things to cover too. Thank you for participating, and feel free to ask your questions at any time, and
Yeah.
we'll keep popping over here. I
Yeah.
know we wanted to, yeah, so I know
Yeah.
we wanted to, yeah.
We'll pop. How about if we'll pop back and forth,
Let's
right?
pop
Because
back.
I
Yeah,
do know
let's
we have
pop back and forth.
some broader things that some other people on your mailing list had asked us to cover, and so one of those was using visuals to
Yes.
get included. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm seeing on the visuals is some really interesting things like, like on Pop Sugar, which is a great outlet because they have so much content in so many different areas. So if you don't know Pop Sugar, it's mainly for women, but they have a lot of different tracks on there. So that's a really great place. BuzzFeed, right? Those are a couple of different places that have continual content that you can tap into. But one of the things that they did that I saw was really funny is how people are making makeshift desks at home.
Oh,
All of these
interesting.
different places. So now they found that all on social media, right? And then they collated it into a story. Like, here's how people are working at home. Somebody put a computer on a garbage can. Another person, put it on their dogs, their dog food, under a tent, whatever ways
Right.
that they were setting up in their home. So that came from social media. So you can use your social media feed for anything that you're doing that's out of the ordinary that could be helpful or funny or whatever. Like, a lot of those were funny. Some of them were just super creative. But visual content is now coming. I pulled up some stats for it. There's 1 in 5 US adults prefer to receive their news via social media instead of print or newspapers, TV and digital. So you have much more opportunity there. And it's also because we have shrinking attention spans. That is, you've heard the goldfish thing, that it's 3 seconds, right? So you have a very short time to capture people's attention. But the other thing is that really the movement toward visuals has been very, very dramatic. And so when you have a good visual story, you just sometimes need to back it up with a little bit of written words. And what the media says is having high res photography. So that means your photography still has to be, with iPhones and with the way that phones work well, you still have to have the bar has raised. You have to have really great quality photos, but you can do them yourself. If we're not talking about professional, we're talking about just using your smartphone. So it says that having high-res photography immediately available for news journalists, it increases. Okay, so this is what they said. They want photography that's immediately available. It increases the company or your chance of being featured because we often need content at odd hours. So they want to just be able to pull it off your website or pull it off your social media. 74% of journalists stated they were more likely to cover a news story if it included easy to access high-res photos. So you link in your email or on your social media, in your Twitter feed, whatever feed it is, or on your website, link directly to those photos to your website or your blog when you're pitching them.
That is a great tip, Susan. So,
thank you. Great.
Well, it is, because I wouldn't have thought, first of all, I don't usually think in terms of visuals. I don't know why, but you're helping me to think in terms of like, how can I turn, some of the ideas that I have to support people into something that's visually gonna grab somebody's attention. So that's like a first thing, right? And then I need to get them on my website.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I didn't interrupt, but I just had an idea for you. I didn't want to lose it. You have so many of those people's pictures from Target.
Oh yeah. So what do I do with
that? You put it on a single page on your website. And then that would be a really wonderful thing to pass on to the media, like to put into, if you can collect all of those photos together and put them into like one montage. and then put that up on your social media feed and put that on your website of like, this is how many people are responding to Say It Now and how important that is. Because one of the things, and we may just jump into that right now. Does that answer your question before I jump in and connect it to another point?
Yes, you did, because I was trying to be very literal about, here's my message, how do I, show it visually? But I think what you're saying is even just something that shows a great interest in what we're doing is that's okay too.
Before the traditional media will pick you up, they need to know it's proof of concept, right? So either you're highly credible or something has gone viral. So that's why I wanted to jump into the viral thing, because I wanted to tell you how this one woman went viral and what she did and how she leveraged that, and how you can do that organically too. So this woman she's a writer from Minnesota, and in the middle of the night, just had a baby, and in the middle of the night, she was up and she was thinking, and so she's a writer and poet, and she whipped off this poem, popped it up on her social media feed, and it went viral. And then what she did is and here's the thing, so it already went viral, so it had proof of concept, right? So people are already interested in it, they're loving it, they're sharing it. People contacted her from all over the world, composers wanting to set it to music, all different language. She said it was just suddenly translated into all these different languages. And what did she do is she created a special video for Kelly Clarkson and said, hey, I'm a mom, this is what happened, and this is the poem that went viral. And then Kelly Clarkson put it up on her show.
Wow.
Right. So you have something that's gone viral that's really taken, then you pitch that to the media. And the way that, and what I love about this is it wasn't something that she had to sell, but she's a writer, right? So what did she use? The words. So it's really connected to her. So if you have like a wee hour or a wee moment niggling or nudges, that's where the gold is. That's where you drop down. Like this idea, Sherry and I were talking about this. I wrote this, what I put out to you on Facebook in like 5 minutes, because I was just thinking about it. And then I go, oh, you know what? This is how I can help. This is what I can do. This is what I know. And so the Sherry put that idea into my head, and then I ran with it. But there's all kinds of ideas in your head that you don't know about. But if you sit and get quiet, or just, on your walk, when you're with your kids, playing a game with your kids, whenever, wherever you get an idea, it doesn't matter. Keep your phone with you, keep a notebook with you, write it down. And then if you're inspired by it, you put it out there in whatever medium works for you. Like if you're always up on Instagram Live or Instagram Stories or whatever the medium is for you, that's where you put it out there. And that's with social media, or you send it to your friends via email. Like, this is something I came up with for you. This is my saying it now for my friends, for my family, right? Because it can go viral in so many different ways. It's not just social media, right? It's
sorry.
Yeah.
I was just glad you said that, because not everybody has a huge social media following, right? So when you were talking about things going viral, and I was thinking, wow, I don't have a huge social media following to make something go viral. But I think what you're saying is, first of all, we don't ever know. And that if we're following those intuitions that come to us, they come from a true place, and we just don't know, who's going to pick it up, or who's going to like it, or which of our friends might share it with somebody else. And to maybe just
it doesn't matter if you don't have a huge social media following, because there's somebody on your list who may, or who may send it or repost it or share it into their feed, right?
Yeah.
So it's not yours necessarily, it's someone else's. Remember what happened with Rich German way long time ago?
Yes.
He was on that boat and he saw, was it dolphins?
A whole school of them.
A whole school of dolphins. He had his video camera. He videoed that. He put that out on social media. It went viral. And how did that impact his business? You might know. I don't know, but all I know is
actually it wasn't. It was an orca. I think it was an orca. So I think something more rare than dolphins. But whatever it was a rare sighting. He had a beautiful photograph. And right then, Rich's passion is having clean oceans. So he used that. He got all sorts of media attention that he was able to segue into his real message, not like, oh, it's great to paddleboard, but listen, we need to take care of the oceans.
Yes.
Which is kind of bringing us, I think, back to our initial, the heart of this talk, right? Which is that, yes, we want to get media and publicity, but why? What is behind it? So, who is it we want to serve and how? And I guess I just wanted to bring that back because I think that's the heart of what prompted this conversation with us.
Yeah. And I love that. And I wanted to talk about that because that's backdooring it. And that's how, And a lot of time we all want to go in the front door. This is what I have to promote. This is my offer. I want to talk about that. But
good.
Right? It's often our passion or our hobby or what strikes us in the middle of the night that takes. And then as you saw with Rich, he could then talk about what was important to him, which was clean oceans. It wasn't sighting an orca. And that he happens to be a coach, where a lot of people then got exposed to him and said, oh, God, this guy really cares about the earth, the oceans, and he's a caring person. He also loves the natural world, and he's obviously very talented and good at what he do. I'm going to hire him as a coach.
Yeah.
He got his message out there about the oceans and also his business about being a coach, right? So, but he wasn't thinking, I'm going to take a picture of these orcas and on my paddleboard so I can expand my coaching business and my message about oceans.
Exactly. That's such a great point. And a really important one, because what he was doing was he was following his heart to do just something that he loves in the world.
Yes.
Right. And so what I'm hearing from you too, because it might be our first instinct, like, oh, everybody should be reading my book right now. But that's not, that's not it at all. Right. And then we want to find a way that we're going to interest the media and then use that interest to then be able to talk about how we hope we can serve. Is that right?
Yes. And so for you, and also I want to say, okay, so the big picture or the big idea is like my book, Say It Now. But part of inside Say It Now is writing a love list.
Right.
So you delve into the content of it, of your message or your book. And it's not about the book, Say It Now. It's about something that's within the book that is helping people or that is a piece of it. So you really want to look for the smallest possible piece, not the big picture, not like making everybody feel good. That's the big, but that's not media worthy. It's someone wrote, you have a story, as I recall, someone saying something to someone and then they died the next day or whatever, right? It's that's why we need to say it now. They might not have been sick, whatever. Yes. It's the meaningful moment that you need. So that's why we want to say it now, because we just never know. I mean, hello, we never could have predicted this.
I know.
Right? So that's why it's important. And then you might give an example, I know you have lots of examples of people who've done that in a moving way. So you would pull out those very specific examples of how people have used your work and how it's impacted them, because that's what the media wants to know. How has what you do or what you offer has impacted someone, whether it's a bar of chocolate that somebody thinks is delicious or expressing love that is maybe really hard to say in person.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. I love this. I was just seeing that Rachel said, I love the backdoor approach. There's so much less resistance in it for us shy people.
Yeah. And I'm one of the shy people too, believe it or not. I'm a trained extrovert is the way I call myself. Yeah. So I'm with you, Rachel, on that. And the other thing is that you're not attached to it.
Say more. Yeah.
When we are trying to push our work out in the world, there's an attachment to a result. And hard as it is, I mean, anybody who's doing a publicity campaign or has a book out or a product, we want other people to have it, right? But it's a different mental process to draw people in, to have people magnetized to you and your work than it is to push it at them. And to say, you know what? This will reach my wish is for it to reach whoever wants it or needs it or connects with it versus I want 1 million people to have it.
Wow. I want to underscore that because I think that was so important. You know, that difference between, and I know it, and maybe the reason it resonated is, and I'm sure maybe other people know it too, which is that, you know, you're pushing, you're striving, you're going for an outcome rather than, I mean, in my practice, I'm often looking at process versus outcome
Yeah.
versus the process of, I love this. I'm so excited. You know, I'm so whatever, you know, universe you want to help me with this. I believe this can really serve people here, you know, in all of my joy and excitement, which is a very different, this goes back to what you were saying earlier, right? About the
Yeah.
energy of what we're doing.
My joy and excitement, and the joy and excitement. So the offer has to connect with the need. Right. So
Oh,
you can have this, you can be super, that's the other thing is sometimes people get so excited and they just start to blurt out everything about their offer, but the other person isn't interested in it. So it's finding the people and the connection to any audience. Why do they want, you know, it's what, um, what does my audience need to know now and how can I help? Those are the two questions to always ask in any PR campaign. Is there anything that you're publishing is what do I have that nobody else has, and how does it connect to your need or your desire or something that you want that you might not even know that you want yet, you know, that it's
uh,
right. And the other part of that, about the non-attachment part is really about, um, just really, that's the thing about serving and really having that connection with whoever it is wants who wants what you have, right? And to be open to, we don't have any, we don't know where that's going to lead. So for example, I have a friend who's a very successful branding expert, LinkedIn, you know, Facebook, you know, big corporations and things like that. And she's just started doing some webinars on like how to do webinars for people who've never done them before. And, you know, she got 50 people on the first one. Well, she already has a mailing list of, you know, thousands and thousands of people.
right.
But also she's just finished up, she has these fabulous products, but she's mostly done work at a more corporate level and people haven't been on her site to buy these products. She's got all these great products. So she mentioned a couple of them in this very short webinar. And we were talking the other day, she sold two. So now, you know, what you might say is like, well, that's nothing, right? But you see, she's a high level consultant who hasn't sold very many digital products. And she's just given two webinars now, and she sold two products.
Yes.
Rah, 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 right?
Yes.
And she just mentioned those in passing. It wasn't like a webinar to sell those.
Yeah.
I want to be super clear. She was really just 100% service. And then she goes, by the way, this is something new that I'm doing. I have these, I just uploaded these that I just finished, and here was my process to do it. So she was sharing about that. And then, you know, a couple people, 2 out of 50 people is really good.
It is really good, especially because she wasn't even
Well,
really selling it.
she wasn't even selling it, really. She just tossed it off at the end. So things can start small and snowball, or in the media, things can happen super fast. It's just completely unpredictable. You know, whether
Yeah.
things, just like that woman's poem that went viral.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
can I check in with you about a couple things right now?
Yes, I see some people have
Yeah. So I was
yeah.
going to say, I've been seeing comments come in. I'm also checking the time. I've got time if you've got some more time to stay. But I wanted to check in with you about your time. And I know there were a couple other things that were points that you really wanted to share about this. So I'm going to kind of see where you want to go. One of my suggestions is that you could also respond to people in the comments afterward.
Afterwards.
That's,
okay.
you know what I mean? It's up to you.
I'm not going to respond now in the comments just because I want to stay focused on what I promised, but I will respond after.
So that way that people could get your attention
Sure.
afterwards, if that's okay, because I know I did see some of these scrolling through.
You can find the name of Ed. You can find the name of some of your local producers, sometimes on Twitter. Twitter is a really great place to find contact information for your local. I would highly suggest that. That's probably quickest. Otherwise, you can Google it. It's really pretty simple. You can really Google it and come up, and there are all of these lists. I know I have some free lists that I've compiled of like how to do this, but I can't remember which ones they are. PRsecrets.com is my website, and I've got a whole page of free goodies. Go look there, because I've got some of them I only give away on my webinars, and they might not be up there, but I know I've compiled like that list, like how do you find anybody's name and things like that. Elise asks, how does it work to have high-res photos when it takes people way longer to download them when it's high-res? So they aren't on our blogs. You can put them on a separate page. Yeah, I wouldn't put them on your blog necessarily. I will put them on a separate downloadable page. And, if it's specific photos of you or your work or whatever, and then you direct the media specifically to that page. Like I have a press page, and on that page are my photos that can be downloaded. So it's specific to my press page. It's not on my blog. So that's where the media is going to look, in your bio or on your press page, for those kinds of things. And you can direct them to whatever place you want to go. You can also have, like, I don't know if this, whoops, my computer just started typing on its own, which is really crazy.
Is it a message for us from the universe?
Let's see what it says.
It could be.
No, it was just taking in what I said, which is very weird.
I guess your computer's interested in your PR tips.
Yeah. At least also, I don't know technically if this is possible, but I've seen people put like thumbnails so it doesn't take a lot of space. And then I think it just clicks into the high-res photos when they click on the thumbnails. Is that right? I think that's possible.
Yeah, that is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great. So should we pop into some of the other questions so I can complete everything that I've promised, Sherry?
Let's do.
Yeah.
So one of the things we started to talk about, but I don't know if we quite completed, tell me if we did, which was if someone does have an interest in some of those bigger magazines, printed publications, did you have anything more to say about that, or do you feel like we covered that?
Well, I wanted to say, why being interviewed right now by magazines is easier during the pandemic. We talked a little bit about that. They need to keep their readers engaged, but also, I just wanted to talk about maybe some specific things that they're looking for. Obviously you've seen tons of things on nutrition and but also fitness. I mean, that's a natural, right? In the beauty industry, self-care. So if you're in that's a lot. Business coaching, executive coaching. How do you stay focused on business and continue your business in this atmosphere? I think that also, if you're right now, people are really looking for content that maybe was that's excerpted from your book. So since they need so much content now, is there anything that you've already pre-written that can be excerpted from your book? That's something that really is, you might be able to just adapt things from your blog or your book, and notice if somebody needs original content, like Pop Sugar, it is original. So it has to be original. Other places, it doesn't have to be original content. So that's really great. If there's also, my microphone suddenly popping itself on for some reason. We've had sort of technical things happening all day, and now my microphone just decided to put itself on over here. So by the way, if you're in a media interview and something like that happens, you can just acknowledge it and just go right on. Because I can't ignore it. Like, things are like zooming around over here. So you don't really want to ignore it. You want to name it. It's like naming the elephant in the room, like, oops, and then refocus and just say, and if you ever misspeak, you can just say rather, and just move on and say what you want.
That's great. Yeah. I love that. I love also the authenticity of it, right? Instead of trying to be, and this is one of the things that first drew me to you, right? Because I found you from your book, How to Sell Yourself Without Selling Yourself.
So, yeah.
And I love the authenticity of that. Like, we can, just like now, right? We don't have to be perfect. We're not perfect. I love what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, we might be like, you're an expert and I'm an expert in media, but I'm not an expert in doing Facebook Live, evidently, obviously. Do you know what I mean? So I'm a beginner. This is like Sherry and I spent hours behind the scenes trying to get me educated to do this. Okay. I just want you to know that this is like, and as you saw, we had tested it. We'd done all of this a number of times. And we still couldn't get it to go live right on time. So stuff happens, and then you just have to go with it. And it's like, what do? You write a note up on the Facebook page, sorry, and we're coming soon. And hopefully we could fulfill on that promise, which we figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So while we still have time, Susan, I have to say that one of the things that piqued my interest when because I read your email too, just like everyone else, Parade Magazine. Can you tell us that story? Because I was kind of like, oh, I want to know how to get into Parade Magazine.
Yes. So that came from Harrow. My former client and my friend now, my dear friend, Jeannie Hurlbert, got into Parade Magazine, 40 Ways to Maintain Social Ties During the Corona Quarantine. Now, the great thing about that, and this is when I was talking about, Rachel, about the back door, is that Jeannie's business, she's got a high-level business doing surveys with people in terms of customer satisfaction, but with like big corporations and collecting data on how people buy and sell and all of that sort of thing. But what did you think? Number 31 and that 40 is take your dog for a walk. Go out and get some exercise and fresh air. It's not only good for you physically, but provides opportunities to interact with others from a safe distance. And then she said, as you stroll through your neighborhood, speak to your neighbors while remaining 6 feet away. Ask them how they're doing. If you see older folks who may have trouble getting out, make a special effort to find out how they're doing. And so it says Jeannie Hurlbert, PhD, president of Hurlbert Consulting. It gives her link. Chief Data Officer of Smart Consulting, gives the link, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, anybody who's reading that Parade Magazine and, can see Jeannie is heartfelt. She's really wonderful. And if I'm thinking about using a consultant, there I have it. So it's not about anything about her business, even though she's an expert in, she was worked with Katrina, Tony Robbins, all those kinds of companies during disaster. She's a disaster prevention expert, as well as, helping people in all of these social situations. Then the other thing that happened with Jeannie, just an FYI, and this again came through Harrow, is she's going to get an article in Authority Magazine that will be in Thrive Global, BuzzFeed, Entrepreneur Roundups. So
Me too, Susan. I responded to that Harrow too, and I got it. Yes,
fantastic.
I love that you brought that up. Yeah, I saw it too. I love Harrow. I love Harrow. I love Harrow you, and I love the other Harrow.
Yeah, that's different spelling. So that's fantastic.
I got excited.
That's really fantastic. So not only when you're in Harrow, not only remember sometimes one media appearance, one thing can go, can get syndicated. So in this case, it's a syndication of sorts. So you don't know where that information is going to land and who's going to see it. And then of course you can put that up on your website as credibility that you've been in all of those places. So the next time you go out to get media attention, you've already started to build up your credibility bucket to show that you've already been in media, which is one of the things that media looks for.
I love that. I just wanted to add a little something about Harrow, Haro, which is sometimes those show up as anonymous or, they don't really say who it is. Like one time I responded to something and it was Wall Street Journal and I ended up getting quoted, but I didn't know it was the Wall Street Journal. So I just wanted to encourage people, to know that sometimes you might think, oh, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's, I'm not interested. But I think sometimes some of the larger publications don't always say.
That's exactly right, because they want to limit the response, because if they did put Wall Street Journal, they would get like 300,000 responses. Right?
Hey, I'm going to pop over to your Facebook page and just make sure that we're still recording. I saw a little message.
I can see it.
You're watching it. Okay.
Yeah, I see it over here. I was wondering what all that movement was over there, and it's us.
It's us. So I really appreciate, that story that you're talking about, because it's like, again, what I think what you're pointing to is when we're just out there sharing what we're excited about, you don't really ever know how it's going to get picked up or where.
No, we
Yeah.
never know. No, that's the beauty of publicity, is that really when I work with my private clients and people in the courses as well, we ask 3 questions, right? I don't know if you remember them, but it's like, what's your deepest intention? How do you want to serve? What's your big vision in the world? That's number 1. And it doesn't have to be to change the world or anything like that. Your deepest intention can be as small or as big as it is. Number 2 is, what do you want for yourself? And what we look at is personally, professionally, spiritually, emotionally, financially. We want all of that, because when we start to shape your foundational sound bites, that's what it's based on. What is it that you're hoping for? Who do you want to connect with? Who do you want to be? I think the biggest question for us right now, and the kind of the question that I'm always asking myself, and I think you are too, Sherry, is, who do I want to be? And am I the person that I want to be now? There's always room for growth, right? Like Sogyal Rinpoche said, you're perfect as you are, and there's always room for improvement, right? So, yes. And so it's, who do you want to be in the world, really, not what do you want to accomplish in the world? I think it's a different perspective.
I love
right?
that.
Yeah. And so the question is to really expand your view of imagining everything that you want in all of those different realms, and then let the world work its wicked wonder and magic to connect you through when you do media. But if you do your deepest intention and you have that in mind, and then the last question is, what do I want my audience to do? What action do I want people to take? Sometimes it's just a shift in perception. Other time it's like, I want them to go to my website and buy my book or buy my product or do my course or hire me for consulting. Whatever that is, it's got to be perfectly clear in how you're expressing yourself in your message in a way that's integrated into the information naturally. That's how we become the best ambassadors of our spirit without being salesy or self-interested, right? So we're speaking about our offer, but in a way that's connecting with people, and in a way that has in the background people, their felt sense is they get what your deepest intention is. Whereas if your intention is sell, 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 people will feel that too, right? So they feel the goodness in you for the intention, and you never have to say, here's my deepest intention. In fact, I suggest that you don't, because I can't stand it. I don't know about you, Sherry, but I hate doing it. My passion is, or I'm so passionate about that. No, 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 no. We should feel that. We should know that. We should get that. You shouldn't have to blurt it out. It's not part of the story. It's like show, don't tell, show, don't tell.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
we want you to, yes, we want you to be the expression of whatever your offer is in everything you do, say, and think.
I love that. I love that Elise said human being, not human doing, Yeah.
Yes, isn't that true?
Yes. Awesome. Hey, very Susan, nice. I know we probably really only have a few minutes that we both need to get off, but I just want to make sure, there was one other question I just want to make sure that you had a chance to respond to, which was that if a reporter or a producer does reach out to us in response to something, how do we make sure that we approach that in a way that then, they say yes to us?
Oh, right. So let's talk about first if you're responding to Harrow. So so I have a client. She's extremely accomplished. She's a fantastic professional speaker. She's got a book out, very well accomplished. But when I read, she said, can you help me with my Harrow response? And I looked at it, and it was all very articulate, but it was something that would be written in a book. It was very academic and things like that. And so what happened was, she wasn't answering their question directly in the kind of language that a reporter is used to, that we are used to reading journalistically, listening to on the radio, on TV, on podcasts, whatever medium it is. It's got to be concise and direct, and the best responses reflect the organization that you are speaking to. Meaning, if it's a Wall Street Journal, you're going to be speaking in more business language to the business audience. If you're speaking to Parade, Vanity Fair, that's a different audience, right? Or Women's World or Wired. You know what I'm saying? It's all very specific to that. But the most important thing in responding to Harrow is to answer the question directly first before you start blurting about who you are, because we don't care who you are if you haven't answered our question. You know, so
right. That's great. That's
right?
So great.
Yeah.
So true.
Who you are, we're not going to use your answers. So
yeah.
You answer the question as quickly and directly to their point, and then you support it with your background, your expertise, links to your website. If they want more information, here's how they can find it through links or talking to you, all of that kind of thing. So I just wanted to mention that on Harrow. Then how you respond if they're actually calling you is a different story, because that's a different medium. So in that medium, again, you just don't want to blurt out your passion. Just start talking madly. You want to listen carefully to what it is they need and what angle it is, and to check in frequently. So you start to say a little bit of a something, and then you say, am I on the right track? Is this what you want? Yeah.
That's great. That's such a simple little tool, but I can imagine that is just
most people don't do it.
Right?
No,
right. We would just get all nervous and blah, 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 blah.
No, blah, 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 blah. And the other thing I do is I research the reporter first before I call them back. So if they've called me, I want to research. So then I can immediately connect with what they've written, the articles that they've written, and I can see, and then I read some of what they've written, so I know what their style is, so I know how to address what they're asking.
Oh, that's
research. And this can be 5 minutes. You can just do 5 minutes. And I can tell you from one of my clients who, whose big mission is to feed the world and is creating new food sources from other parts of the world. When he was it was Forbes or Inc. Now I can't remember which one, but I researched the reporter for him and found something that she had written that connected exactly to his vision about how everyone in the world should be able to be fed. And here's how, and it's possible. And I said, here's your starting point in conversation. And that set the tone of the whole interview. And he said, it was a fantastic interview, and he got lots of ink, right? He got lots of press because he immediately connected, So there's that part of it too.
And that might just be, I know we have to hop off, but I mean, in my mind, that might be a wonderful way to end, which is that this is connection, right? These are relationships. These are other people, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned from, doing different kinds of media. They're just people, and they have their hearts and their interests and their, and how I love that you brought that in. Like, let's connect.
Let's connect. Yeah, I love that. E.M. Forrester says only connect. And I think that's really it. If if there's one line that sums up publicity, it really is only connect.
Oh,
and you're connecting one-on-one, then you're connecting with hundreds, and you're connecting with thousands, then you're connecting with millions, but it's all the same.
Wow.
It's just scale. Yeah.
I'm so grateful, Susan. I feel like we could probably go on and on now that, now that we're here and it's working. But I just thank you so much. And I think that was a perfect example when I said to you, like, hey, nobody I know is talking about this. Can you address it? And you were like, yeah. I love that sort of, you were just so willing. And I'm sure that it has helped way more people. It certainly helped me. And I want to thank all the people who have been here live, and
everybody, and people who I don't know, but I'm so happy to meet you, Kate and Rachel. And I know there were more people up here too, Jade and Ed, and all of Deborah. Thank you all so much and Dush Life. And Beth Peter. Yeah. So thank you all for coming, and thank you, Sherry, for hosting us and guiding me through the technical maze. And encouraging me to do this. So thank you all. And Sherry's website is?
Oh, that's very kind of you. My website is simplycelebrate.net.
So she has wonderful things. And mine is prsecrets.com. Hope to see you there. We both have lots of free resources for you, and we're going to post some of them. I think we'll we'll post both of them, Sherry, because I want people, I'm sure, want your love letters. So let's post both of those.
I'm happy to. This is a great
time. Both of those links for people after we get off the call. We'll pop up and we'll post those for you. And we'd love to hear about how it goes for you with media, with COVID, and with anything beyond. We'd love to hear.
This is a great place, and for people who are watching the replay, which I'm sure, I know there'll be a lot of people doing that too. Keep the comments going, and is it okay if people have questions? Can they keep asking them to you? Yeah.
Keep asking questions. Yeah, keep asking questions. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's keep the
I might not answer them like immediately because I'm on a number of client deadlines, but I with one of my clients who's going to be speaking to 1 million people on Saturday. Yeah. Well, so we're going over her talk tomorrow. So I'm on a little bit of a deadline with these kinds of things that just sort of happened, right? So this is what can happen, like, by the way, immediately. So this is what happened. So they asked her to speak. She did not have a speech. So we're working on her talk, right? Which is an hour, right? So it's like, it's fantastic, but it's a very tight time frame. We're working on it. She's been working on it. We're working on it tomorrow. And then she goes live Saturday.
Wow. So she's lucky she has you. I can only imagine. No, really. I think we probably all feel like, gosh, if you had something like that happening, to have someone to help you through in the way with your knowledge and background. So anyway, so thank you all for coming. Thank you, Sherry, for being the shepherd, goddess, wonderful magician of all of this. Appreciate it. That was great. It was so fun. Thank you, Susan.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.